Patreon Q&A number 37, part 2. I want to still thank all 62 of my incredible patrons for continuing to stick by me the way that you are, especially through these rough times on my channel. So thank you again, guys. And to everyone else listening, there's going to be spoilers in these questions and answers, so tread carefully after this point. Wolfpup asks, Hola, Sir Knight Shonen. Wolfie here. Okie dokie. First order of business. If you don't mind me asking, what is your favorite ice cream, necklace, PlayStation controller, and your favorite PlayStation headset, and why? I have a PlayStation Gold wireless headset. It helps me a lot when I'm playing Last of Us multiplayer. I like this one. How strong is Drive Knight, and are we going to see him go all out in the war arc? If so, who do you think one will have him face off against? Royal Ripper versus Doe S. Who takes this one and why? How screwed would the S-Class and support team be if Monster Orochi and the executives fall on the surface? Do you have a favorite shaving cream? Is one going to give Golden S and Evil Natural Water a huge buff? Because on the webcomic, we didn't see much of Golden S fight with Awakened Garo, since pre-Will Garo transformed to Awaken off panel during his fight with Golden S. Is one going to change this? Because I want to see Garo transformed during his fight with Golden S. Well, I guess it's time for me to transform and all, and Golden S gets all high and mighty, so confident he could beat Awakened Garo. Monster Goketsu versus the Beast Titan, the Armor Titan, and the Warhammer Titan from Attack on Titan. Thanks a million, Sherzonin. P.S. If King and Moomin Rider would combine their ultimate attack, then the DBZ universe would have eradicated. Enough said. Hey, thank you so much for everything that you do for me, Wolf Pup. I hope you know I love you by now, so thank you again. So let's get into this Drive Knight question first, because I made it the title of the video. So Drive Knight is particularly powerful. Yes, he is an S-Class hero, so at the minimum he is a demon and more or less a superhero, but even among the S-Class, I think Drive Knight is one of the more powerful ones, or at least it's heavily implied that he is. So we've only seen him in battle once against those fodder dudes in chapter 66, I think. I don't know, we briefly see it in season 2 when he just slices up those guys when he's the wolf fodder, when he's interrogating them to try to get the info on the Monster Association. So other than that, we don't know much about him. But in one of the audiobooks, he defeats Genos in like an exhibition kind of match. So he's already more powerful than Genos in my opinion. I'm not sure what Genos was. I don't think it was Elder Centipede Genos, but regardless, it's kind of gauging the, the ballpark of what Drive Knight could be. Also, it's said that he's never lost a fight before, so that's something, I guess. But I do think he's dragon level, although it's not proven yet. Like I said, I'm taking a guess. I think he's at least on the level of dragon, meaning that I do think he could go 1v1 against an executive. So who would it be? I'm going to take a guess and say that he's going to fight Neon, or at least I hope he does, because we don't know Neon's fate. He's not in the webcomic, so it makes sense that Drive Knight, who also isn't in this arc in the webcomic, would face off against him. I'm not sure how deep Drive Knight is going to go into this arc because, like I said, there's so many questions, and he still hasn't even been revealed that he is G5 yet. So a lot of questions, but that's what I'm thinking so far on Drive Knight. So my favorite ice cream, this is going to be boring, but I just like really good vanilla ice cream, like really well made, just vanilla ice cream. It's just really good. I mean, I like other kinds, of course, but nothing really hits the spot like super high quality vanilla ice cream that doesn't taste fake. And my favorite necklace, I don't own any, but if I could, I'd probably own like a big Cuban link gold chain, like Raekwon style. I like that type of stuff, although like a white guy like me walking around with that would probably be ridiculed, but regardless, I do like that stuff. My favorite PlayStation controller, definitely PS4. It's the best controller they've made so far, in my opinion. It's just flawless. I think the Xbox controller is probably held in high regard at this point in time, but I still really do like the PS4 controller. I've never had a PS4 headset, so I don't know what my favorite would be, but yours is pretty damn cool. If you do have this gold one that I'm seeing in the link that you dropped, pretty sweet, so good on you. I would use the hell out of it too if I probably had that. I think Royal Ripper would be way too powerful for Super S. Now, I'm assuming Super S is coming to this fight by herself and without, the company people that using her ability on to fight for her, like how we saw with Nariki's Private Squad and the Blizzard group. I think 1v1 Royal Ripper would just kill her eventually. Like, she could probably wrap up one of his swords in her whip, but then again, he has the other sword, so I think he would probably just use that to stab her or cut her head off or something. She doesn't really seem too skilled. She's kind of like a glass cannon almost. I think that her demon rank is coming from the significance of her ability, more or less, because even Orochi himself is like, no, let's keep her. She has a pretty good ability. So I think that's all she really has going for her. She doesn't seem to be any more powerful than that. I mean, other than what we've seen, like Fubuki gave her issues and My Mask and negative difficulty to her. So yeah, I think Royal Ripper would be just too much for her. But if she had like people with her, it would be a different story. So I think that the S-Class heroes are eventually going to fight Orochi on the surface. I do think he's going to come back. But I think Tatsumaki is probably going to be wound up being too much for him. And eventually Orochi is going to be gone completely. Like he's going to come back just to die again. And then the executives, they are going to fight on the surface too. But the way that I see things lining up, at least with what Murata said, that they're going to come after Orochi. But if Orochi and the executives were all to work together against the S-Class heroes on the surface, it would get pretty rough for them at that point. I mean, if Tatsumaki and the strike team were all working together, I still think they would have a very hard time of winning. Maybe they'd even lose if Saitama and Garo didn't show up. Like, that's how ridiculous Orochi and the executives are, all working together, especially. So my favorite shaving cream, I don't have like a specific brand, but the kind that I get from Harry's, the online service Harry's, they have awesome shaving cream, and I use it all the time. So that's the one that I use. I don't think it has a particular brand to it. I think it's just Harry's brand. So I totally do think one is going to give Golden S and Evil Natural Water a buff. Evil Natural Water already seems to have a buff because he has fish in him, and he doesn't have fish in him in the webcomic. So I'm sure these fish are going to have some kind of, I don't know, super effect to them that they can do. They look like piranhas, so I'm sure he can use them in creative ways. Other than that, I think Evil Natural Water was done justice in the webcomic. It really illustrated that he was one of the most powerful executives and one of the most powerful dragon monsters we have seen. So I think he more or less is going to stay the same with some added buffs. But Golden S is going to get a significant buff because, like you said, we don't see much of him in the webcomic. A lot of his feats are just ambiguous, and it's too bad because it seems like one was kind of lazy during this portion of the webcomic. I could be wrong. Maybe he just wanted to do it this way, but I don't think so. So I really do hope Murata goes all out of his way to show us every single thing that Golden S does. Like all of his fights, all of his techniques, everything he does, so we fully understand how friggin' crazy powerful Golden S is, rather than a My Mask just telling us it, you know what I mean? So expect Golden S to get some significant more amount of screen time and a significant boost to his power as well. He's more or less going to be like Boros, I think, like released Boros minus the energy blast. I think he's going to be like that. So as for your Titan question, I think Oketsu is probably too much for these guys. I think he's way faster than them. Strength is debatable, because I'm sure they can easily bust a stadium like he did. But the speed and technique that Goketsu is really on his side, and I think he's probably just going to punch their heads off or punch their legs off, maybe. The Warhammer Titan, debatable, but the Armored Titan, I think he's not tough enough to deal with Goketsu, and the Beast Titan certainly isn't. Levi took him down, so I think Goketsu would have no friggin' problem taking him down. I think Goketsu would really have a tough time against the Colossus Titan, because the Colossus Titan seems like the most powerful, other than the first Titan. So, or the original Titan, the female one. Not the female one that we see in season 1. I'm talking about the female Titan, which is like the first of the 9. So I think Goketsu would probably have a hard time with that and the Colossus. But these three, I think he could take them out. Joseph K asks, hey Shonen, completely forgot to ask a question last week, so apologies, but it's going to be slightly longer than normal this week. I realize the story is never going to go there, but do you think it's possible Saitama could ever encounter a human who was unbelievably evil and that he would actually consider them to be a monster, and as all good heroes do, kill them? It seems to be the case that in One Punch Man world, anyone evil will eventually become a monster due to the large negative emotions, but we have seen people like Chose and Bakuzan who really were on the verge of being evil, but they were likely able to prevent the change due to their strong wills until they beat out. Wait, so does that mean that there are just no human serial killers in the world, on the One Punch Man world, because they all become monsters? It would make convicting people in court nearly impossible. Yes, my client's prints are on the murder weapon, and there is videotape of the murder, but he is not a monster, therefore he cannot be as bad as you think. Otherwise, he'd have grown horns and we'd never be able to be caught. Anyway, do you reckon Saitama just has no intention of killing a human regardless of things they've done? We've seen Saitama subconsciously recognize Monster Garo as human, recognize Rover as a normal dog. Could it be possible for Saitama to just see someone on the street and be like, hey, a monster, when everyone else just sees a normal man? would be entertaining and definitely way too dark for One Punch Man if Saitama just accidentally obliterated a guy while walking home and just made up, I guess he was a monster. While everyone is horrified, Genos is taking notes. Have a great week. Peace. P.S. Don't want you to take any risks with your channel, but I seriously cannot understand why you are unable to use manga panels without risking strikes when bigger channels than you with like 300,000 subscribers are able to go just through every page of the manga with no repercussions. Doesn't affect my enjoyment at all. I just open the manga and I go along with your videos, as I'm assuming most people do, but it just pisses me off that you are limited in being able to gesture to certain areas or bring up images for comparisons like you did with Orochi and Boros' Bloodshot's eyes you posted on Twitter. Hope things get better for your channel soon. Hey, thank you for your continued patronage, Joseph. I appreciate it so much, bro. So, I don't think every single evil person in the world of One Punch is bound to become a monster. It's more like they need to really be pushed over the edge in order to become it. I don't think just having inherent evil thoughts is enough to become a monster. I mean, it's not that common. Like, there's not, like, thousands of monsters all over the place. I mean, there is a lot of monsters, and it's implied in the story that as of recent, with, like, in the last 2 years, there's been, like, a serious influx of monsters. But I don't think it all has to do with just the explosion of negative emotions. I think the explosion thing isn't as common as it seems it is. I think, like, you need to be, like, a special kind of case in order for that to become a monster, because there are still people out there, like you said, Chose and Bakuzan. Now, Bakuzan I don't think was psychotic, but Chose definitely is. He's not a good person by any stretch of the means. I mean, if anyone is evil, it's totally Chose. Then we got Sonic, who is evil for sure. We've got the guy who hired Sonic. We've got the Paradisers. There's all type of people that could be considered evil people, but they aren't necessarily monsters. I just kind of think it's a phenomenon at this point. I don't think it's something that is bound to happen if you're evil. Well, of course, could be wrong. It's never, explicitly stated in the series, but just what I've gathered, it doesn't seem like it's this black and white. Also, there is, the police department and stuff, so I assume that there are minor criminals and people who have committed murder and things like that that don't necessarily become monsters. So I just don't think it's like that. So I do think Saitama could come close to killing a human if they are super despicable. Like if it's some, like, child murderer or something like that. I do think Saitama would hurt them, like smack them, but I don't think he would kill them. I don't ever think Saitama would kill a human. He would certainly, like, break somebody's bones or something and then turn them into the police. I think that as far as he would go. I think Saitama is genuinely on that side of his morals. I don't think he would kill a human under any circumstance, unless he was, like, absolutely forced to for the fate of humanity or something like that. Then yeah, but if he discovered, like, some human on the street that was just a completely unredeemable, despicable person, he would probably smack them and hurt them and then turn them into police. That's about it. I don't think he's going to go about murdering people. It still would be hilarious, like what you're stating in your scenario at the end of the question here. So I'm glad that you... So thank you for bringing this up, the whole manga panel thing and how I'm not able to use them. So there are other big YouTubers who are able to do this, and one of them specifically is Mastar Media. I have no ill will towards this guy. I respect him as a creator and everything. But I just don't understand how he's able to use every single page of the manga and all of the footage from the anime in his reviews. As to where if I even, like, show one eyeball, then I'm on death row at this point. So I assume that Mastar and other creators of his level are able to do this because of their networks, like the multi-channel networks that they're affiliated with or that they're signed on to. I assume that those MCNs are able to either stop him from getting strikes altogether, which I don't think is the case, but I think that they definitely are able to remove the strikes from his account. This has to be the case, because otherwise the publishing companies would nuke his channel. And his channel has been around for way longer than me, and he's been doing this stuff since he started. So I assume that his network is in control of him getting strikes and not. So I guess if he gets a strike, then his network will just go in there and manually remove it for him, or they'll talk to YouTube directly and have them remove it. This happens with other big creators too, because, as you noticed, all of the other big channels, they just don't randomly go down from copyright strikes. They get around from that. The only way that the big channels go down is from YouTube themselves striking them down with like community strikes. Other than that, you never see them go down from copyright strikes. So I assume this has to do with multi-channel networks, which I am trying to get on. I really am trying to get on. But once my strike is gone, I assume that this one network will take me on, because they had already been talking to me. They wanted me. I didn't even go to them. They came to me. So once the strikes are up, I'm going to try to get on board with them, and hopefully I will gain this ability, this crazy ability to be able to use copyrighted manga and anime stuff and not get striked down for it. But we'll see what happens. But why I personally am not able to use this stuff, I assume because I've been blacklisted. It's as simple as that. I think that the publishing company really found what I was doing egregious. Kinbaryu asks, hey Shonen, funny how a lot of these questions start off with that. I'm a long-time lurker that's been subscribed to you for a while, and I know you've been having issues with YouTube and such, so I decided what the heck and became a patron. It's the least I could do to help brother out. To be honest, I really admire your channel. I use it kind of like a podcast while I do other things, like playing video games or driving places. I wanted to have a YouTube channel of my own for a long time, but I've always put it off. In a previous video, you urged your viewers to just get their content out there, which is exactly what I needed to hear. In celebration of becoming your patron, I made a One Punch Man video. It's less than a minute long, and if you wanted to show it in your channel, go ahead. It would mean a lot. If not, I won't be offended or anything. I'd rather make talk videos like you do, but I'm not really comfortable with my knowledge and voice yet. When I grow a larger fan base, hopefully I can make a second channel that talks about general anime topics. I really like the idea of having regular fans and talking to them frequently, and I read all of the comments on my videos. Although, to be fair, I don't have that many videos as of yet. Oh right, this is a Q&A. Well, I guess my questions for you would be, what do you think I could do to grow my channel? How long did it take you for your channel to get a solid fan base? How much time goes into each of your videos, and what inspires you to make a video, and how do you plan them out? I'd love to hear it, and if you have any suggestions at all, I'm all open ears. Thanks again for the content. Hopefully these $5 can help you out. Hey, thank you for your new patronage, Kinbaryu. I appreciate it a lot, and I'm happy that I can give you some entertainment and content while you do other things, because I myself do that, and I used to do it all the time when I was working. Like, always listening to podcasts and YouTube videos and stuff, and I'm really happy that I can give that to somebody else. It's really, really amazing, and I'm happy that I can inspire you to start your own channel as well. So I can't show your video in this video because of the content you use. It's nothing against you or anything. It's just I can't, because, you know, the way the things are right now with my channel. But I totally urge everyone else to go check out Kinbaryu's video here. Very funny. It's like a One Punch Man parody of the Gangster Party line. He sounds just like the guy. So I'll have the link in the description. But as for helping you grow your channel, I give you some tips. But just let me put it out there that my results are not typical. Like, I've found out that my growth is very, very fast compared to what other creators, especially in the anime community, have. So I wouldn't use me as a model for success, I would say, like, because I've seen other people like look at big channels and they're like, oh, they could do that, well then I could do it, and then they wind up trying to create a channel and they get disheartened when it doesn't turn out the way that they thought it was. So let me just say that, like, it's a grind. YouTube is a grind regardless of what you're doing. Unless you're like some kind of crazy prodigy, it's going to take a long time for you to develop your channel, and it's a possibility that you never get to where you want to be. But it's not really about that. It's more about the journey, in my opinion. So it took me about, I don't know, 3 months maybe to get a solid fan base of about 5,000 people, somewhere around there. And it took me about 9 months to get 25,000 subs. So like I said, that's not typical at all. I've seen people, a lot of my contemporaries actually, who have been on this platform way longer than me, like 2-3 years, and they only have like 2,000 subs or something. So it is a grind, and a lot of luck comes into it too. So what can you do to grow your channel? Well, I can tell you what not to do first. So don't chase after views. Let them come to you. And what I mean that is, like, don't try to make these clickbait, deceiving videos or anything like that. Don't do that. I know it can be enticing. You become drunk with this feeling of going after these views and like, oh, well, if I make this video, then I'll get all these views and whatnot. It's not about that. Getting views is not how you grow. You want to have repeated viewers. You want to have people that want to watch your views. If you get one video that somehow goes viral and gets like 1 million views off of clickbait and deception, it's not going to help you. I promise you that. There is no fast track to success on YouTube here, unless you're already rich and you can just put ads out there and put a crazy amount of production into your channels and whatnot. But if you're just a base level guy, there's no fast way about going about things. So honestly, just put out your content and just see what happens. You need to get your reps in. Like when you're in the gym, when you're training something, if you're working out or practicing, you need to do the same thing with YouTube. So you need to just keep putting videos out as much as you can and keep practicing and keep getting better. Because when I first started, I could tell you I wasn't as good as I am now. And I don't even think I'm that good. But the way that I was talking, the way that I was able to understand things, the knowledge that I had, the skills that I had in editing, video, and thumbnails and whatnot was not on this level. It took grinding. Like I grinded every single day for like 6 months straight in order to get as good as I am now. And it took me about solid 6 months to find my voice and what I was really comfortable with and how I'm able to make videos like I am now. It wasn't always this way. Like my first video is awful. I'll put it up one day, but just keep getting your reps in and make sure that you get Premiere or something like that. Don't mess around with these crappy editing programs. You got to get something legitimate like Premiere or whatever else is like Premiere. I'm not even sure what the other programs are because I only use Premiere. I know there's like iMovie, but I don't mess with Apple. But then you got to get Photoshop. And if you don't know how to use these two programs, you need to educate yourself on how to do it. So I self-taught myself how to use Photoshop or Premiere. So if I could do it, you could do it too. And if you can't afford these programs, then you got to do something to get a good program. Like I can tell that you really want to go in on this. Maybe it's like a serious hobby to you. So it's just about practice. And another thing is like try to not make your videos too long. You got to be able to earn a long video because when people come to your video and they don't know you, they're not going to listen to you. They don't care what you have to say. So make your videos as concise as possible. And then once you grow your viewer base, then you can make longer videos because then they'll be more comfortable with hearing what you have to say. But other than that, yeah, you need to learn Photoshop, you need to learn Premiere, and you need to work on speaking and gathering information. It takes a lot of practice. It's going to take months for you to be able to do this. But if you stay diligent, you will see yourself progress and you will see things pick up. And don't get disheartened if your videos are getting like 10 views or no views or 100 views. Like I said, it's not about the views. The views will come. If you make good content, people will watch, you will get watch time, and it will spread and more people will watch it. That's the only way. Not clickbait, not deception. Just good, solid content. As for me making my videos, so going into it, I need to do all the research I can, and then I need to get a solid idea of what I'm going to talk about. So I don't script. I don't write scripts or anything. I personally don't like that. I just have talking points. And then I'll go off of a talking point, and then I'll record myself talking about it. And then when I fully understand what I'm going to say, then I'll say something to an extent of where it sounds like I scripted it, but I didn't. I kind of just keep scrambling it around in my head, and I keep speaking and recording it until I have a solid foundation of what I'm going to say. So all of this together takes me about 4 hours to make a video, coming up with it, talking, recording, the research, and then the editing and everything. It all takes about 4 hours, give or take. The big long videos like I used to make before, like the How Strong Is videos, those took like 8 hours to make. But nowadays a video probably takes like 4 hours around there or something. But yeah, so that's all the advice I can really give you for now. I'm trying to keep it as concise as possible, but I've already ran this question 7 minutes long. But if you have any more questions, feel free to ask me. Kobi R asks, "Hey Shonen, it's been a while since I asked a question, but I keep enjoying your vids. Unfortunately, I'm not huge on One Piece or My Hero, not my cup of tea. I suggest that once you get a large enough volume, split them up to make it easier on your fan base. However, I do like Samurai 8. It's actually quite awesome, and I really do hope it gets picked up by a good studio as soon as there's enough material. For the question regarding Blast of Saitama, do you think the odds are that Blast power is actually something like Escanor Sunshine from Seven Deadly Sins, a godlike power that can actually transfer from one person to another? Blast is at hiding because he is somewhere worrying that the hell happened to his powers. This could be the work of some divine entity who finds the most worthy vessel for its power. Maybe it's got something to do with God, the show's God, not actual God, and divine entity being the God's adversary and whatnot. Do you think there's a chance it goes in that direction? I imagine that may be the end of the series. One will have to give us some explanation to Saitama's power. Lots of love. Keep up the good work. Hey, thank you so much for your continued patronage, Kobi. I appreciate it so much. I always see you when I'm making these videos and I'm going through my active patrons and updating the log and whatnot. So I am aware of you, Kobi, and I do see that you're not asking questions, but I appreciate that you're still supporting me and still watching my videos and still enjoying them. So thank you. However, I don't think this is what's going on with Blast. It could happen, don't get me wrong. Actually, I've seen a lot of people have this theory about Blast. Not necessarily the whole him getting the power from God or being similar to Escanor, but just the theory that Blast's power can be passed on. Similar to like All for One from My Hero, which you're not a fan of, but, or should I say One for All. But it's something like that. So I don't think that's going on with Blast. I don't think he has some kind of power that can be passed on or some power that can be taken from him or a power that was given to him. I'm assuming Blast is just some really powerful guy. Maybe Blast removed his limiter. You know, maybe Blast was the first person to remove his limiter, or maybe he was just born just super powerful. You know how like Metal Bat was, you know, something like that. Or maybe he just trained to become super powerful like Bang. There's so many questions about this character, but just my opinion, I just don't think things are headed towards him having ability to pass something on or something that was taken from him. So your thing about God is interesting. I didn't think that there would be like two, you know, like a God and a devil, something like that. It would make sense because there always is like a duality to that. But I also don't think this is going on with God. And I'm not trying to say you're wrong about everything. It's just, I personally don't think that things are going to happen this way. But I do want to put out there that there is a possibility that these two theories and hypotheses that you have could happen. I do think there is a chance that it's out there. I don't think it's completely out of the realm of possibility. I just think God is by himself. I don't think there's like a good God, if that makes sense. I do have a theory about who God is, actually. I came up with it recently. I got to make a video about it. But I do think there is a reason why God is the way that he is and what he's doing with everything. I just don't think he's connected to Blast, and I don't think he's connected to Saitama either, although, like I said, there's a possibility because God seems to be extremely important to this series. If you've been following my videos for a while now, I've been saying that I think God has been built up since the very first chapter. And as for the explanation of Saitama's power, I think pretty much all we're going to get on it is that he broke his limiter and removed his limiter and just became that powerful. I think anything more than that is just going to be more of an explanation of the limiter and how it works and how you become more powerful once you removed it. I don't think there's anything more to it. And if anyone is going to give us that information, I think it is Dr. Genus. Whatever he's going to show Zombie Man or talk about Zombie Man in his basement, it's probably going to have to do something with us getting a better understanding of how powerful Saitama is. But I just don't think it's something that he was given. I don't think it's like divine or anything. I just think it's from Saitama breaking the level cap that humans have in that world.